The Owl House just aired its epic series finale, so now we're gonna break it all down. Major spoilers ahead. But real quick, I want to let you guys know that we will be holding one more livestream Q&A with the cast of The Owl House. It's currently planned for May 6th. Official details as well as information on how you can buy your own autograph print from your favorite character's voice actor will be popping up in a future video, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay updated on that and our upcoming theories. Now, the previous episode ended with the Owl House gang all together teleporting to the Titan Skull and celebrating the arrival of Luce's Serpent Palisman. The gang was coming to the archives, hoping to find a way to stop the Collector, and we even got a confirmation from the Collector in this episode that King is immune to the Collector's power, but they ultimately end up winning the Collector over by explaining Luce's story. This was after escaping a nightmare prison the Collector created first, as well as surviving a couple of sadistic games from the Collector. By learning Luce's story, the Collector began to appreciate her, but the Collector still did not truly understand the significance of death. The Collector had lost Titans, but they were all more like toys or pets to the Collector, beings that could be removed from existence and it wouldn't be the end of the world per se, even if the Collector was sad. With Luce, however, the Collector didn't just invest in her or her story, but when Luce jumps in the way to protect the Collector, she sacrificed her own life. The Collector tried to bring her back, but it didn't work, and finally the Collector understood what it was like for something important to die, allowing the Collector to finally understand the pain they had caused by killing so many others. Luce, however, didn't really die, and instead ended up in that place between dimensions, where this time she finally met the voice that had been calling out to her, the Titan himself. Apparently, he wasn't entirely dead, something the Collector reminded us about earlier in the episode with his beating heart. He of course was able to give Luce what she needed to go back to the Boiling Isles, a second chance at life, and the combined power of his four glyphs. Luce comes back in this sweet looking demon witch mode, finally becoming a child of the human realm, but really a full-fledged witch or demon as well. Now, before blowing up Luce, Emperor Bellows had taken control of the Boiling Isles Titan, and the Collector tried to use the information that Luce had taught them to try and bring Bellows to the good side with the power of friendship. The way this dramatically ended up destroying Luce was pretty powerful, as the discussion of whether or not to forgive cartoon villains in the big finales is a pretty big one. What the show did here was illustrate that this blind mentality of forgiveness will just lead to you being taken advantage of. Bellows didn't take a single moment to talk about forgiveness until the power was taken from him, but when the Collector had tried to make peace, he just attacked. Ultimately, Luce is able to defeat Bellows using the Titan's power, and he ends up groveling for mercy, trying to lie his way out of the situation, claiming he was under the influence of magic, claiming that Luce will become evil like the witches if he doesn't spare him. In the end, it's the acid rain that kills the Emperor, as even with him being reduced to a demonic husk state, it would be a bit too bold for Luce to deliver the dramatic final blow to end Bellows' existence, but Rain, Ida, and King all get to have a few humorous kicks. With everything back in place, the Collector decided that it was time to return to the other higher beings and try to grow up some more. In this episode, the Collector revealed that the other higher beings are called the Archivists, which makes sense as we see what looks like one of them deep in the memories of the Owl Beast, turning monsters like the Owl Beast into scrolls. This appears to be part of the power of these higher beings, which is not just to transform things, but specifically to preserve living creatures by changing their forms, allowing for them to always exist if the Archivists want to continue the species or help them survive an apocalyptic event. The Archivists are known, according to the book King reads in an earlier episode, for opposing beings that get too advanced, who can fight back against them. The Titans of this strange planet appear to be the first beings that have evolved enough to fight the Archivists, so they constructed a plan against them. They sent our Collector down to play with all of the Titans, perhaps hoping that the Titans would end up killing the Collector. While doing this, it would appear that the Archivists began collecting up whatever Titans they might want to preserve, but set about destroying the ones that remained. At some point, they convinced the Huntsman to turn on the Titans, something our Collector would get blamed for, even though our Collector only ever wanted to play. With there only being one Titan left, King's father, the Collector would seek him out, as well as his egg as a potential final friend, but end up being trapped by the Titan's power. Having to return to the Archivists and the Star seemed like an odd choice to me, especially after the Archivists seemed to try and have the Collector killed by sending him to the Boiling Isles with the Titans, and I imagine the Collector could be a godlike force for good in the world on the Boiling Isles if he had stayed behind. Following this, we got an epic flash forward, probably the most epic of any cartoon I've seen. Luz returned to the human world to finish her high school education. However, as an adult, she would be free to live in the Boiling Isles and attend a university for wild witch magic. But the entire time Luz was in school, she was apparently hanging out with her demon friends regularly, with the abandoned house becoming their special private portal to each other's homes. Hunter had unfortunately lost his palisman Flapjack, and there was no redemption in Belos, but he did manage to find some family with Edith's parents. It never seemed to be confirmed that Belos' brother was actually the ancestor of the Clawthorn family, but it definitely makes sense that Hunter would find family with them. His love for palisman makes him a perfect apprentice to carve them out with Dell, and he seems to have created a healthy, sustainable system for palisman now that the Emperor isn't constantly consuming their essence to sustain himself. And the Bat Queen seems to get involved to make sure that the palisman go to good homes that will pass them on to next generations instead of just abandoning them. Hunter ends up getting a new blue palisman that otherwise looks a lot like Flapjack and ends up with Willow. In this flash forward, Amity has a great new look and has become a master of abomination-based technology that appears to be helping the Boiling Isles thrive. Like Ida over the course of the show, Lilith has entirely conquered her beast as well, allowing her to have an amazing harpy form to fly around. One really interesting sequence of events is that Ida ends up running a university for witches of wild magic, allowing them to learn diverse talents that she had to acquire without the limits of a coven. This doesn't just cater to the newborns who are born without a coven, but to the witches who are having their own coven seals removed thanks to the help of various magics and even Amity's father. A lot of characters in the show are of course now going to be the teachers at this really cool school, and Gus is shown even working on an exchange student program between the human realm and the Boiling Isles. After the credits, we get one last scene with all of the characters. Earlier in the episode, before the flash forward, Luz had talked about how the glyph stopped working when the Titan spirit left, those being his own symbols for his magic that he chose to share in his mysterious ways. King, however, growing up over the years, has started to give off different glyph signs as his powers develop, meaning Luz has an entirely new glyph system to learn, and with it, the potential to teach glyph magic to the masses, allowing them to understand their own circle magic on a different level. Finally, the gang has gathered here not just for Luz to return to the Boiling Isles, but for a special celebration to thank her for all the help over the years, even missing the opportunity for her own quinceañera. During this party, the Collector flies by, dazzling everyone with the magic of stars and sparkles, but not making contact, just saying hi to everyone on the Boiling Isles. This was a pretty heartwarming episode all in all, and an amazing way to end the series, but it clearly set up the potential for a spin-off aimed right at adults, and if you want a breakdown of how that might play out, hit that subscribe button as I'll have a video out in another day or two, and don't forget to stay tuned for the upcoming live stream with the cast of the Owl House right here on the channel. See you guys then.